everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Anderson. I am a freelance artist and teacher hoping to inspire creativity. If you would like more videos like these, please take a second to like and subscribe down below. It really helps in the algorithm of YouTube to help get my videos seen to more people. If you want to receive notifications of when I go live, please make sure to hit the bell and choose all notifications. If you have any questions during or after the class, make sure to pop a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I can. I'll be leaving timestamps down below so you can skip ahead to the start of class, but I will be sharing announcements as well as supplies, so make sure to stick around for that. If interested in learning more about my classes, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And feel free to check me out on Patreon, where I teach exclusive classes to those who support me. In Patreon, I also give traceables for all of my live classes, including this one. Lastly, if you would like to share your work after class with me and others who painted along with us, please head over to Facebook, as I have an artist community where you can share your finished painting with us. I'll leave links for all of that in the description box below. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another live class, our first live class of 2023. Welcome. Let me know in the comments below if you are here, who you're painting with. I would love to hear it. I am super excited for just this year and all the new things coming. This whole month is dedicated towards all things kind of out of this world, including northern lights and planets and stars and asteroids and all sorts of things. We even have we are doing an astronaut in my Patreon, so I'm really excited for this month. And yeah, so I hope that you will join along. Most of the classes are free on YouTube, so you don't have to pay anything. But if you want a little bit more of detailed instruction, or maybe some exclusive things, I do have my Patreon, which is also where you will find all of my traceables for classes. So my traceables started off as just something to give back to my community who supports me on Patreon. And if you would like access to my traceables for all of my live classes, I have a link in the chat box, as well as in the description, for the every traceable within every class. So on YouTube or in Patreon, it's all the same. So I have links for that if you're interested. You don't need it for a class, but I know that some people do enjoy having the traceable, so there's that. I will be drawing it on, and most of these things are pretty general shapes. I don't think you're gonna need, if you are tight on cash or whatever and you don't want to support, that is totally fine. We are going to be going over like what to do if you don't have the traceable, and some of these tools you're going to need regardless. So let's go ahead and go over supplies. I have a few announcements, and then we will get going with class. Okay. So the main supplies, obviously you have your acrylic. I'm using Hippie Crafter acrylics, and don't be confused by these small bottles. They are not soft body acrylics. They are full body acrylics that you get your Liquitex and all those other high quality brands. That is what is in here. It is not soft body. So just putting that through. We have a ton of colors. Honestly, you can use whatever colors you want with this class. You can have fun and do a rainbow. You can color theme it and have only specific colors if you want that. I want to go rainbow because I think it's fun. And so I'm going to have just a ton of colors out. So for the background, I'm going to have my Phthalo Blue and of course my white. So I have Phthalo Blue, white kind of for the background colors. And if you want it to be a little bit more greenish, you can add some green in there. If you want it to be more maybe a purple color or a dark blue color, you'll add some like ultramarine blue, or just keep the green out of it, up to you. And then for the kind of the flashlight part, we're gonna have just a ton of colors. So whatever colors you have, even if you only have the primary colors, you can get most of these colors with the primary colors. And if you don't know, the primary colors are yellow, blue, and red. and you can make your secondary colors, your green, your purple, and your orange with those, and so on. And then all three of those colors will make brown. So you really have a lot of, you can have a lot of fun with this. The one thing I will say, let me find it in here, is if you do have a pink and a purple, that will show better on the canvas than making a pink and purple. If you try to make a pink, sometimes it'll come out a little bit more reddish, which is totally fine. If that's all you have and if that's what you want, that's totally fine. I do have a pink and a purple. So I have my blue and white for the sky. And then for this, I'm going to have, I'm going to have the green that I will probably add to mine. And then I have a pink and a purple. I have a yellow. And then I also have an orange. And I have a raw umber just in case I want to tint any of the colors. Now I have like a brown one, a brown planet in here. You can change any of these colors. So I might change the colors, I might keep them same. I don't know, we'll figure out when I get there. But it's really up to you what you want to do. So have fun with it, create it your own. And yeah, I'm actually going to change out the yellow. So I have here a lemon yellow, and I don't think I want it that bright. So I have a medium yellow here. So I have yellow, orange, my pink, my purple. I have a really, really dark purple, like violet. So I will be brightening that up a little bit. And then my blues and my greens and my whites. Oh, and then black. You'll need black too. All right, that is it for the colors. For the canvas, I'm just using my notebook. I really have been enjoying using these notebooks because specifically for this is technically a juniors class, it's a kids class, but obviously we're all kids on the inside just doing some art, right? They're very nice to just practice. And because they're smaller, you don't have to spend as much time on it. And so I've been enjoying this smaller scale. I don't have to spend so much time doing this very elaborate painting. I get to just kind of do a little bit here and there, and then it goes faster. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get out your tape. If you don't have tape, I would highly recommend getting any tape you can. Because we will be needing it for the flashlight portion. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to paint this in first. Okay, we're going to paint that in first, and then we're going to cover it up, let it dry, cover it up, and then we're going to paint the rest of it. So you are going to need tape in order to do this, because it's going to be very hard to get a clean background without taping it. But this part is optional. Whenever I paint in these types of notebooks, I really do like to have that clean line when I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and tape off maybe about 1 centimeter off the edge, and this is just so that after I'm done I can just pull that off and it has a really nice clean edge. I don't do this for all of the classes, but I do enjoy having a clean edge when I'm doing like a full page. Just gonna wrap that under, and then do this. Oops, that is not long enough. It's okay, maybe I can use that for the other thing. Okay, so once you're done with that, I'm gonna go over the rest of the supplies. Other supplies that you are handy to have, but you do not need for this class. It will make your life easier. I have what I call, I don't know if this is actually what they're called. I call them sponge daubers. Because in face painting, we would have these little ones that kind of looked like this. They were called sponge daubers, and you put them on your finger and you would use them for stencils. And so it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like stamping in a sense. So I call them sponge daubers. When I look them up, that is what comes up. So I'm assuming that they are called that. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know. But they are super handy. I don't know where my middle one went. Maybe it fell. But you have these in different sizes. Usually I use the middle one that's missing a whole lot. So I will show you how to use these, and I also show you how to do it without that. It's essentially you get I'll show you when we get there, but you can create a perfect circle just by putting your brush and twisting it, and it will create a circle, and then you can kind of adjust it from there. I will do both just so you can use whichever one you have. But yeah, so we have paint, our canvas, tape, sponges if you have them, paper towel, water, obviously your palette. And then I have a couple different brushes. My main brushes that I use in almost every single one of my classes is a large filbert, looks like this, large filbert, usually like a medium size filbert, especially for these smaller classes. I will have like a smaller filbert. In other classes I might use like a medium filbert. And these are all from, most of these brushes are from Grabby, which is super nice, and they are pretty great brushes, if I don't say so myself. And then I have a liner brush. You don't need a liner brush, but it's very helpful for doing those little tiny long strokes, like you're shooting stars or things like that, or any other details. I usually have like a small detail brush, and then I have a round brush. I might not use all of these brushes, but I typically will keep them handy for me to just grab when I need them. All my other brushes are kind of tucked away a little bit further. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the announcements. Because it is a new month, we have a lot going on, especially in Patreon. If you are not on my Facebook, please make sure to go over there and follow me. That's where I post all of my new classes, and I post 2 to 3 times a day about upcoming things, supply lists, and all of that, all sorts of things over there. I do have a goal this year, 2023, kind of not really a New Year's resolution, but I do have a goal by the end of this year to reach 10,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do that. And if you like the classes and enjoy the content that I put out, make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified of when I put up new classes. And if you've been here a while and you've been enjoying my classes for a long time, go ahead and just share it. It really does help get it seen, as well as like all the videos that you end up watching, because that really helps in the algorithm. It's a free thing that you can do, but it really does help. In Patreon, we are doing our little, let's see, where is he? Right there, a little astronaut. This is what it looks like so far. We finished most of the background, and we are going to put some pink clouds in here, and I'm really, wow, matches my nails like perfectly. And we're going to put some pink clouds. This is just after the first class, so I'm really excited to keep moving on that. In my Patreon, at the $20 tier, we paint weekly. I paint weekly live, and you guys get to come on and paint with me, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, if you miss a class, you can always go back and watch it. And speaking of other classes, the last announcement is on Friday, I have a Northern Lights class coming out, and I go over 3 different, it's the same class, but I do it 3 times so that you can see even me kind of troubleshoot and really just have fun. Like, honestly, I get carried away with these ones because they're so easy, so fast, and so fun to do. So here are the 3 that I did in preparation for that class. This will go out on this Friday. So if you're on Facebook, you'll get a link for that. So let's see, which one was the first? This was the first one I did. These are 5x7 canvases. So we have a little Northern Lights one. I feel like this would make like a great postcard of some sort. So this is the first one. Came out really nice, but I wanted to brighten things up and add a little bit more color, so I did that one. This one I think is my favorite. It came out really nice and I really like the color. I did try this on a larger scale. Let's see if I can make it go out a little bit. So this is what I did, and for the larger scale, I think it still came out good, except for the fact that I feel like there's a bit of it's all kind of the same size, and I think that that's what I would change if I did this again. But overall, I really enjoyed the process. It's super fun, and it took me like an hour and maybe 15 minutes after, but I had to explain a lot. Probably painting it probably only took me like 45 minutes to do all 3 of these, and it's so fun. So if you like Northern Lights and you ever want to do Northern Lights, it's super fun. That class will be available on Friday. Now, enough talking about Patreon, enough talking about other classes. Let's get into this class. Go ahead and get out your pencil, because the first thing we're going to need to do is draw on some sort of guideline to go off of, especially with the little girl. I drew a little bit on here already, but I didn't really draw a whole bunch. I'm going to go ahead and get out a ruler. You can use a ruler or a flat book. Where'd my ruler go? There it is. And I'm just going to, I want to figure out where everything is going before I start painting. So I'm going to draw this on. And I'm going to draw the flashlight section first, so that I can draw my girl after. The other option is that you can draw her first and then go from there. I already kind of had my girl here, so I already knew where that was going to go. So maybe if you haven't already kind of pre-drawn it, draw the little girl first. Or you can be a little boy. You have your black, and then you have this thing coming out. We are going to be covering this in black, so don't really worry about pushing too hard or anything like that. And if you have troubles with drawing, let me give you a little tip. Here's the outline or whatever. If you need help, you can draw a circle for the head, and then just draw a line straight down. Draw a line straight down, and then you can go from there. You can add a dress, you can add hair, whatever, however you want to do it. And because we're starting it in pencil, you can always erase it. And it's going to be so small that you probably won't notice if you mess up anyways. So I feel like this one is super forgiving. All right, now something that I like to do is that if any of you have a black paint pen marker, this would be ideal for coloring her in if you're not good with detail work. If you are good with detail work, then that's totally fine. You don't have to worry about it. You'll know how to fill her in. But for beginners, sometimes it's hard to do little details. So I highly recommend getting a kit of like paint marker pens, at least for this stage, because it's really helpful. Because eventually that will be the last thing that we put in after everything else. But we will be needing to go over it first so that we don't lose our sketch in the process. Let's see, what else do we need to do? I'm going to go ahead and draw in a couple of circles. Now, If you have these, you don't necessarily need to do this because you'll just be putting in them later. But if you don't have them, it might be helpful to put them in now so you can kind of troubleshoot where you want everything. But that's totally up to you, completely up to you. I am very curious at where my other one was because I was going to use it for this class. I think I have more over here, so give me a second. No, that's okay. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way. I'll just do that size with a different, not using it. Okay. Hello, Vicky. Good afternoon. For me, it's good evening. Well, sort of. It's like 3. It's like 3:30. Close enough. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I need to clear off my space. There's a couple different things that you can do. If you want, you can add the tape on the outside first so that you don't get it on the rest of it. I'm going to do that because if I put green or if I put blue on yellow, it'll show up differently than if I put it on white. So I'm going to go ahead and do this first. We're going to do the background first, and then while that's drying, we will put in our black in the black parts that we want to keep. Let's see, right here. So we're going to do that, and then we get to have fun. So I'm just going to put kind of like a little bit of everything out here, starting with my yellow. Starting with my yellow, and then going into a little bit of orange. Actually, I'm going to get out my red, because I can pre-mix a little bit of this red with the yellow. If I can get it out of the tube. There we go. Just a little dollop. It's not going to take much. I am low on my pink though. Let's see. Oh, there's enough there. And then a tiny bit of my purple. Whoa, that was a lot of purple. You know what's great about these is that I can just take the amount that I don't want and put it back in the tube. The other tubes, you can't do that. Once it's out, if you got too much, you're gonna waste it. These types of containers are very forgiving when you squirt out too much. Be careful about touching my face. There was one class, I didn't realize it, but the whole I touched my face, and the whole class I had like a black mark on my face. Leave it to me. Leave it to me. Okay. So I have those colors. That's what I'm going to focus on first, are these colors. And I might get out like a tiny bit of blue just to darken up the very, very top of it. Okay, so I have this. Are you ready? I'm going to get out my small filbert, because this is a small amount of space. If you are using a larger canvas, feel free to grab a bigger brush. For me, this is a perfect size, and I don't need to go much more than that. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to make this a little bit tiny bit smaller. All right, so I'm going to grab my yellow first, and I'm I'm just going to add this. Maybe I'll even grab like the tiniest bit of white, just for that very first part. And then I'm going to come in with some yellow. It pretty quickly goes into an orange, but it's like a really bright orange. And you're just going to go back and forth and blend that into the yellow. If you need to go back into your yellow, you can do that. And then you're going to go into your red. Try putting your red on there before you bring it down. And then try not to bring it down too much, or it will, it's not going to blend very well. Because everything below is starting to dry, especially on paper like this. I'm going to go into my pink and put my pink in. I'm going to bring the pink up a little bit, grab some purple from up top. I'm going to rinse out my brush. For me, my purple is very dark, so I'm going to grab some white. For me, I'm just going to work on this blend a little bit. Pink going into red is a lot better than red going into, pink going into purple is better than red going into purple. And I think I might just need to do a second coat to get the blend better. And I might do softer colors. I'm going to start with the blue up here and come into that purple. Because the paper is definitely soaking up the color really fast. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry. It's not gonna take very long. And while I'm gonna let that dry, I'm gonna make a new color. So right now, this is really vibrant and then it gets dark really, really fast. So I'm gonna make some new colors with my whites. I like my yellow. I'm gonna make my orange. And then all the colors after it, I'm gonna add a little bit of white to them. So one, they become more opaque, and two, they become less vibrant and easier to blend with. So I'm gonna take my handy dandy palette knife. I use these in probably 99% of my classes for mixing. I'm gonna take some of this red, mix it with my yellow so I can make that orange again. And then this red, I'm gonna take a little bit of this white and just kind of soften it up a little bit. What's nice about already having this first coat on here is that the paper will soak up less because it's already soaked up some of this acrylic. And acrylic tends to have like a plastic coat essentially over things, and it will help it will help it blend. Okay, so I have my red, and I'm gonna I think I want to add even more white to this. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of white to the yellow, to the orange too. And you'll notice that the red now has like a slight pink to it, and that will actually be very helpful when mixing with the pink, because it will already kind of have that hue to it. I'm going to add more pink though. And then I'm also going to add purple and white to this pink over here. Now if you like the blend on yours, if you had a good blend, then and you don't really feel like you need to do a second coat, that's totally fine. I'm gonna do a second coat on mine. I just feel like it's needed. I really enjoy blending, so when things aren't blended as well, I'm like, nah, I can do better. All right, so these colors I think are just going to blend a lot nicer. Move this over so you can get a better view of my palette. So these colors I think are just going to blend better. Then I'm adding blue to the rest of the purple. Okay, so I think that's fine. I'm also going to use a slightly bigger brush so that I can have a little bit more time blending. So let's go ahead and start this again. I'm going to start off with a tiny bit of white. And I'm going to try to move a little bit quicker this time around. I'm going to brush off my brush a little bit. Once I'm done blending, I'm going to grab more and work my way up. Go into that pink. Go into the purple. Go into the darker purple. Go back into the lighter purple to help it blend. And then go into my blue, dark purple blue color. All right. Not as bright as I want it to be, but I still think it's pretty. All right. see. All right. So depending on what technique you want to use for your planets, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to get out my green. I'm going to grab just a tiny bit of here. And there's one of two ways that you can do this. I mean, the first thing, I think I'm going to put the big one. I'll do the purple one. So you can put it on the whole thing if you want, or you can just do a little bit of it. All you have to do is place it somewhere and go all the way around. And you'll start to see that. Now, if you wanted to put it in, like get a ton of paint on here and do that, you can also do that. For me, this is kind of just supposed to act as a guide so that I can come behind here and follow it. So it's up to you what you want to use it for. If you want to put in the whole thing, or if you're just trying to get the main shape so you can fill it on your own. We are going to need to do 2 coats of these colors because they're so dark. The other way that you can do this is to get a flat brush or a small filbert, depending on which one you want. I'm gonna use the filbert. I'm gonna grab this green. I'm gonna put my brush down. I'm going to lay it down, and then I'm just going to twist it, trying to keep one side in the same spot. So I'll show you here. I'm going to place it. I'm going to do the one over here, but it kind of goes off the thing. I'm going to place it here, and then I'm going to keep the inner edge in the same place and circle it around. Does that make sense? So I'm placing it here. There's like this line that I'm envisioning. If this is the center over here, the outer edge of it is going to go around that, and you're going to create a circle that way. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to grab my paint. And then you have almost a perfect circle. You can always adjust it. I feel like that is pretty good though. I'm going to grab some white. Oh, and before we go any further, let's go ahead and get our, if you have a toothbrush, I forgot to mention this in the supplies. If you have a toothbrush that you use for stars, go ahead and do that now because we want to get our stars in before we start, creating a whole bunch of things that we don't want to mess up. So grab your white and some water. The one thing about this is you want to make sure that it's not too watery. So if you need to try it out on your palette first, make sure that you're not getting a a whole bunch of globs of paint. There we go. So we will need that again, and for this, I'm just going to make it lighter on one side, darker on the other, and you can even put in some, darker markings on darker markings or lighter markings in different areas of your planets. Just so it's not all one thing. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do another one of these, except I'm going to do it in, let's see, different colors. I'm gonna do it in like a bluish, grayish color, so I need some black. And again, you can use whatever colors you want for these. To make like a cool gray, I'm going to add black, white, and blue. And I'm going to do that one over here. And you'll see me just barely adjusting the outer edge on that one. Kind of looks like a moon. I'm gonna add some white to this side. And then I'm gonna come back in with maybe a medium to small round brush, and I'm just gonna dab. So essentially it's going to be lighter on one side and darker on the other. You can use blues for it to be darker. You can do black. Space is pretty dark when it comes to its darks because there's like literally no light on the other side. Like there's no other light source for it to be like medium light. So I'm just kind of putting in darker version. I have black on my brush for this one. I'm just going to pull that forward so then I can go in with my purpley blue color. I'm gonna lighten up some purple. And remember, you can do whatever color it is that you want to do. This is just like that. Kind of like the blue hue I got going on. Alright, next I think I'm gonna do a few small ones. I really do want to put in this like Saturn one right here. So I think I'll do that one next. So I'm gonna use my tiny filbert, get some of this yellow, get some orange, and get some white, and kind of make like a sort of a golden color. Maybe a tiny bit of black to dull it down. And we're gonna just put this one right here. And then while that is drying, or before that's drying, I'm gonna come in with just a tiny bit of my white. Put in some highlight on the bottom. And then don't forget to darken up the back side of it. Which I put a little bit of black on there, and then I wiped off my brush so I can kind of blend it in a little bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So now I'm going to take that same yellow that I just used, add a little bit more white to it. I'm going to dab my brush, and I'm going to create the ring by just dabbing. It looks like I'm going to need it a little bit brighter here in the front. There we go. Cute. All right, I have a few more to do. I think I'm gonna do a brown one. I don't want to get out my brown, so I'm just gonna use yellow, red, and blue. I'm gonna put one down here, and technically this should be like the brightest one. So, 'cause it's right next to the flashlight. If you're having troubles getting a circle, sometimes turning it so that it's at a more comfortable angle for you can be helpful. I can also assure you that it looks like a circle at all angles instead of just the one you're viewing it at. And then we'll put one more down here. Since this one's kind of more of like a blue color. Actually, I kind of do want it more purple though. I'm gonna change this color. Alright, so I'm just kind of dabbing to make some texture. It's kind of a fun thing about these is their texture. Alright, I'm going to do a very small blue one here. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I am going to save it because I'm just going to put it on the other side. And while this dries, I am going to paint in my black. If you did use your sponges, now is a great time to rinse them out so that you can wash them properly with soap and water after the class. If you leave the paint just kind of on there, then it will dry like that, and then you might not be able to use them in the same way like you did. Yes, let's go ahead and put in the tiny little details of our little girl. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to be going over it. It just needs to be dark enough that you'll be able to see it afterwards. I'm going to go ahead and add the bottom of this. And now we get to do the rest of this. I'm going to make sure that this is all dry before I put anything on it. And you're going to want to tear the edges so that or cut them. Cutting them might be better. You're going to want to cut the edges so that you're only covering up the actual flashlight part. So if this is going this direction, then I'm going to cut this way so that I can put this corner in here, but I didn't cut at the right angle. So we're going to try that again. I'm just going to cut like this. Like that. Now, if you don't want to reuse the same pieces of tape, that is totally fine and totally understandable. You might get better results by using new tape or my tape. But it's all the same to me. These are all for fun art projects. So now you're just going to continue to tape off this section. So I have my sectioning all taped off just in case I go over the edges and I don't want it to get messed up. So now we are going to take a larger brush and we're going to go over the whole thing. I'm going to lightly sketch in where I want my mountains. And this is just so I know how far to go down. It doesn't have to stay this way, but I'm just going to go roughly based off of my sketch before. All right. Are you ready? Okay. I'm gonna grab my larger filbert and we're gonna create 3 tiers of blues for the background so that we can easily blend. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm not gonna use any of these colors again, and I need the space. So I'm gonna grab one of these brushes and put some of this on here. Some of this is like dried on, so I'm just going to it's one of the things I love about this palette. It is super easy to clean even during class. There we go, all clean. And I'm going to get my blue out, more blue out, I should say, black and white. I think I'm gonna need more white than that. So I have white, get out some black. I'm not going to need that much black, so I'm going to put some of that back because I can. Black goes a lot further, and it kind of dominates the color. White, it usually takes quite a bit of white to lighten up a color, so that's why I need considerably more white than I do black. All right, and we are almost done with this class. I'm going to dip my, oh wait, actually first we need to mix colors. So I'm gonna have, I'm gonna take a little bit of this white and put it off to the side. I'm going to add this blue to here. Look how pretty that is. And this is going to be my main blue that I work with. This is probably in this tier. So I'm going to take some of this, but I do want it to be a little bit more dulled down. So I'm going to take my black and add that to it because I really want the colors in here to really pop. And if this is too blue, then it might take away from that. So I'm just kind of trying to gray it down a little bit because I already have white in here, so adding black to it, white and black are gray, so you're just adding gray to blue. So I like that color. Now I'm going to take some of it here and add more black to it and add a little bit more blue to it to make it darker and less gray because I had a lot of white in that one. Okay, so I like that color. And then we have our white and our black that we can add as we go. Right. Let's go ahead and get started with the sky. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with my black. I've already gotten my brush, I've already dipped my brush and then kind of dried it off so it's not dripping, but it is moist with the water. So I'm going to go ahead and add black to the top here. If you have too much water, it's going to end up making it look translucent. I'm going to add black down to about this area, and then I'm going to go into the blue, pull that down, and then I'm going to go back up and blend it into that black. And I'm just going to go over and over. Blend it up. I'm going to start adding in this really light blue. And I'm going to blend it up. I'm going to start adding kind of like a medium color over here and then go into the light. Blend it up. Lots of blending in this class. I know that you might not be able to see my little girl, but I still can. So that's all that matters. If you can't see her, then try going against your bristles and kind of try to take off some of that. And then go over it gently to just help blend it. I'm going to start going into my white. I just added white at the very bottom, and I'm just kind of blending that up. And that is pretty much it on the sky. We can go ahead and put in our moon, which is, I'm going to put black. So you can do one of two moons. You can do a moon that is like a fantasy moon where it's just the crescent. You can just do the crescent and you can like see through where the whole planet actually would be. Or I figured in this one it's like real, like reality versus like play and imagination. So I have real things of like the moon and then just having the light on one side, but you can still see that it's a whole planet, and then a shooting star, and then like super color rainbow type of planet through the color of like the imagination. So it's up to you whether or not you want to do like a fantasy like crescent moon or like a whole moon. So I'm gonna do the whole moon. So I'm gonna grab my black and I'm just gonna put like a circle. And you can always start small and then make it bigger. I think I'm going to make mine a tad bit bigger. I had the bigger brush, so I was worried that it might be too big. Oh, I forgot to, let's go ahead and do our second set of stars. I have too much water. Right, I think that's a good enough. I do have to kind of redo my black though, because I should have done that beforehand. But that's easy enough. And I'm gonna wait until that completely dries before adding my white, because if I add the white now, then it's just going to turn to gray, and I don't want that. Okay, here is where I can also add we're gonna go ahead and mix together the mountain colors. So I'm just going to do the same color as the sky, but a little bit more blue. But it's mainly the same color plus a little bit of black. And then I'm just going to blend in this lighter color in here that I have, just as I get darker, as I get lower down. I'm just going to kind of put these in. So I'm just gonna put in some of that blue at the very bottom. Maybe a little bit of white to help lighten it up. And then we're just going to do the same thing. I'm gonna wipe that off, rinse that off. I'm gonna do the same thing with just this color here. And maybe some white to blend it. Do you think I want it darker on top? And then there's darker piece over here. So I'm just adding those pieces, and I'm going to come back through with my dark again. Grab a little bit more water with it this time around. And I'm just going to make sure to cover up any white that is still here. All right. And there you have it. I'll go ahead and rinse off my brush. I do feel like this could be darker. All right, now it's time to put in our little cliff here, which I'm gonna get some more black for. I'm just going to fill in this little cliff here. Wow. Getting the rest of this filled in. And alright, so I'm going to take some black and a little bit of water, and I'm going to go ahead and take off this part. There we go. How fun is that? Go ahead and put in our little girl. All right, so for mine, I think the legs are just a tad bit long, but I think the rest of the proportions I like. So something that you can do is if things aren't, if I think her legs are a little bit too long, then all I have to do is create a cliff that is a slightly bit taller. Like that. I think that looks better. All right, and the last thing, the very, very last thing that you need to do is go ahead and put a moon on your moon, a light part on your moon, as well as a shooting star if that is what you wish to do. So I'm going to grab some of this white, just a little bit, little dab of it, and I'm going to use my filbert because it's already round. All I have to do is barely touch the canvas and I already have a round shape. I'm gonna wipe off the rest of that. I'm just gonna pull out some of this white. And you can always go back in with your black and tighten up anything. That needs to be, like maybe you came out too much with the white. It's very forgiving. All right. I think I want a little bit more white. I'm gonna go back in. little bit further around. Alright. I think I like that. And let's go ahead and do a very small shooting star, and then we will be all done. I'm going to grab a small brush. It can be a liner brush or just a small detail brush. I'm going to put it at an angle that I have the most control, and all I have to do is move my wrist. And that's all it takes. So I want this to be right here, and all I have to do is put it on there and move my entire wrist. I don't have to move my hand. And that's going to get you the most consistent line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit more white and really put a dot right here. And there we have it. That is pretty much the end of class. Please make sure to share it with me. I would love to see it. And yeah, I have a artist community over on Facebook. So if you aren't over on Facebook, please make sure to go and do that. I will leave a message in the chat right now. Go and join that community. That's also a great place to go. If you go to the albums, it's a great place to view every single class that I have ever taught online, and that can be available to you, ranging from everything on YouTube, Patreon, or on Zoom. All the classes are in there, so you can have a scroll over that and see if you want to join in with all the other classes. Every class that I do is available somewhere. So yeah, I am super excited for this one. It was really, really fun. I'm gonna go ahead and take all of these parts off. Let's see, I'm gonna go this way. If you are using paper, just make sure that you are careful when you're pulling it off and that you go slow, because sometimes the paper, if it was pressed too hard or if it's on there for too long, it can adhere to the paper and it can tear it. So just go slow. It's like, why is this so satisfying? So fun. See right here, it's starting to tear, so I'm going to come in from the other side. And there we go. Ta-da! Yay! All right, thank you so much for joining me for this class. Again, we have all sorts of outer space themed paintings for this month, so definitely go check it out on my Facebook. Please follow me if you haven't, and if you haven't subscribed, I would love for you to join the family. Okay, we will see you next week for another live class, and yeah, we'll see you then. Bye guys.